Hello and welcome to Atheist Viewpoint. I'm Dennis Horvitz.
And I'm David Silverman, and today's topic is nuts and news. So we're going to be talking just a little bit about the news that are happening in today's world, today's country, but also we're just going to be talking about a few nutcases out there as well. So let's start with a nut. Why don't we talk about giraffes?
Well, this isn't a nutcase, really. This is just for those of you who are interested. As per an article in the June 13th to 19th, 2008 Chicago Jewish News, Israeli rabbis at Bar Ilan University have declared giraffe's milk to be kosher.
Ooh, kosher. Well, that makes
giraffes chew their cud and have cloven hooves, which makes them kosher under biblical law. So, however, it says don't count on washing down kosher giraffe meat with your kosher giraffe milk any time. Attempts to breed giraffes for slaughter were abandoned long ago because, you see, quote, no one knew where on the animal's long neck the butcher's knife should land. See, the butcher's knife has to hit
cut the artery.
There
are so many kashrut laws that the animal can be kosher, but if you kill it the wrong way, the whole thing is not kosher.
That's correct. And it may be safely assumed that rabbinical scholars racked their brains for centuries dealing with this question, but the Talmud provides no answer. There's also the question as to how the kosher butcher would manage to reach up to any part of the giraffe's neck, and the article suggests with a kosher ladder, perhaps. And I didn't write this.
A kosher ladder?
Yeah, and the question of who would hold the animal in place while the cut was being made. It wouldn't be me, that's for sure.
So the Talmud provides no answer on how to kill a giraffe to eat its meat so that it's kosher, but its milk.
Wait a minute, but this is I don't understand. Is that but these considerations are moot since giraffe meat is not kosher.
Well, giraffe meat is not kosher because they don't know how to kill it.
I guess, but apparently the implication is that it's not kosher anyway. But
so in order to all you Orthodox Jews out there, go out to your local kosher restaurant. Grab yourself a nice big glass of giraffe milk and chug that sucker down.
You can have the milk. You can't eat the meat for some reason, and I don't know why. I'm not sure.
Can you mix giraffe milk with cow meat?
No.
Okay.
No.
So make sure that when you chug your glass of ice cold giraffe milk, that it's with at least 3 hours before you eat any kosher meat, or 6 hours after you eat kosher meat.
And you actually have to have yard in diameter Oreos when you do that too.
So, well, use kosher Oreos so that you can dunk, because I mean giraffes.
We've basically beaten this one to death.
A little bit of fun.
Okay.
Last week I talked about an article where we talked about McCain's atheist problem. I have the article here in front of me. It's if you just Google McCain's atheist problem, it'll come up. I'm not sure if I can give the website out, so I won't, but I will read it to you. According to Gallup, John McCain trails Barack Obama by 25 points among voters for whom religion is not an important part of their daily life. McCain leads by 5 points among those who answer that question in the affirmative. These sorts of numbers are generally described as a problem for the Democratic candidate. However, as Roy Tuxiera pointed out 4 years ago, if you had to pick a sign of this divide to be on, it might be on the side of the secular. That is because by almost all indicators, religious participation in the United States is decreasing. Hello, we're winning. According to the Pew poll, 45% of Americans now completely agree with the statement, prayer is an important part of my daily life, down from 55% in 1999. Moreover, the younger generation is less religious than the older generation. Check this out. 19% of those born after 1977 that say they are atheist or agnostic, as compared with 11% of the boomers and 5% of the pre-boomers. So you can see the trend. Again, going back to the reasoning, in my opinion, is that the Internet is present and everybody can read and everybody is less afraid. But besides what happened, what the trigger is that a chunk of the young people, more than double of the younger people in this country, the younger 30 crowd, are atheists. 1/5 of the people under 30 are atheists. How many people under 30 do you know? Statistically speaking, 1/5 of them are atheists. Barack Obama, of course, does not need does need to at least hold his own among actively religious voters, who constitutes 65% of the electorate. What does that mean? That means non-religious voters are 35% of the electorate. Aha! He is able to do so thanks to substantial support from African American and Latinos. Nevertheless, if these generational trends hold, each year a coalition based on actively religious voters will become marginally less successful. So, then I'll let you go. So, what does that mean? That means that the organized religion's main point right now is to depend on government for their own promotion. They can't hold on to their own people. They need the government to do it. That's why they're trying to put people in office that will actually change the judges in this country and make it more theocratic by force, not religious by choice, which is what we stand by.
Okay. Here's my confusion about this. I would assume that this applies apparently specifically to McCain's problem, but you know, in other polls you'll read that almost half the country believes literally in the creation myth, as in the book of Genesis. 35% believe in the devil as a I don't know if it's 35%, but a significant percentage believe in the devil as a real person, and heaven is a real place, and hell is a real place, or that Jesus Christ died for their sins, and these are insignificant numbers, and yet on the other hand you'll contrast it with something like this, where in fact, I mean, this is not the only poll that has indicated that there is a trend towards secularism, that younger people. So, but I am a little confused to how this is happening when when one set of polls shows so much superstition, and yet another poll will show, you know, the trend towards secularism.
Well,
I don't.
Actually, it does make sense, because when you're talking about the country, we're talking about the country at large. You're talking about the older generation and the younger generation.
Right, the combination.
According to this article, 5% of the pre-baby boomers are not religious. Okay? So as you're looking at people who are, you know, 50 and older, you know, I hate to say it, but first of all, they were raised in a situation where they didn't have the internet, they didn't have access, so if they ever had atheistic thoughts, they were probably brainwashed out of them. Secondly,
they weren't successful with me.
Well, yeah, they weren't successful with everyone, but also you're talking about people who are looking at their own mortality, okay?
Yes.
And a lot of people don't like to look at their own mortality. So it comes down to, you know, when you look at the United States on the whole, we still have a lot of people in this country who are religious. That is primarily the older people.
Yeah,
okay.
And it is a weird dichotomy, because, for instance, the religious right, evangelistic Christian, the dominionists, and I'm talking about, when I say dominionists, I'm talking about the people that literally and specifically want to turn this into a Christian nation. They're actually quite, even within the evangelist community, they're a minority. They're a very small minority, actually. But what they have is the advantage is that they have publicity, they have the media, they can get all the and the money, there's some big money. So what they actually lack in numbers, they make up for in publicity and in presence. And I don't know. I guess it just seems like it just seems like they're still influencing a lot of. They have the ability to influence a lot of people. I think a lot of people who who are considered some Jews or Christians or Muslims, or when they're in favor of keeping under God in the pledge, they probably don't consider themselves as trying to take over the government and making it Christian. They figure because no specific God is mentioned that it's all right, you know.